to go to Camp Egan, and I got to meet with some awesome adults. We've got some new leaders that are going to start shadowing on Wednesday night, and then hopefully we'll be able to take a group over pretty soon. They're going to come up and they're going to start helping out, and that's awesome. We can't do anything without parents. I want you to know that. We cannot do anything without your parents and their support. So we appreciate that so much. But it was a huge interruption for some people to get there. We know how busy everybody is. You guys are busy. Parents are busy trying to get you from point A to point B. They got, mom's going to go one way, dad's going to go one way because 2 kids and they got different stuff. I mean, it was a big interruption to carve out a Friday night and basically all day Saturday to go to Camp Egan and hang out with me. So we interrupted. They allowed themselves to be interrupted for that weekend, and I appreciate that so much. And that's what we've been talking about for the last 2 weeks, is finding God in the interruptions. And if you can't find God at Egan, you're dried up. Thank you, sir, because he is down there. So the first week we talked about the paralyzed man. The 4 friends of the paralyzed man that was carrying him on a mat, and they went up around the house, dug a hole in somebody's roof, and interrupted Jesus. And Jesus had interrupted a friend because they were all packed in his house now. And they lowered this guy right down in front of Jesus. Jesus heals this man, and all is well. And then we talked about a woman with a hemorrhage issue. They call it the issue of blood. For years, she had this issue. She paid all her money to see doctors. The doctors couldn't help her. She actually got worse. And she put her life on the line one day, came out of that house, made her way through the crowd, and she reached out through the crowd and just touched Jesus' robe. Because she said to herself, if I could just touch his robe, I will be healed. And what she do? She interrupted Jesus. Stopped right in his tracks. He stopped and said, who touched me? Power surged out of him. So he knew that he had been interrupted. And I've referred to these stories as interruptions in hopes of providing a visual picture in your mind of these instances and the craziness that must have been going on all the time around Jesus. I mean, it was crazy around this man. Everywhere that he went, he would be standing on one side of a lake, crowded with people, and say, we got to go to the other side of the lake to get away from people. And then on his way across the lake, somehow news got out that he was coming over there. And as soon as he arrived to the other side of the lake, what? People. And they just constantly pressed around him. And demon-possessed people cursed at his name, and lame and sick people begged for mercy and for healing. Seekers wanted to know more. Enemies tried to get him off his mission. They tried to get his focus off of what he was doing. Crisis all around Jesus all the time. Crisis and need was all around him everywhere he went. But interruptions? Not so much. Not really. Interruptions represented people to Jesus. And people were Jesus' business. That's what he was about. People were his purpose. Interruptions spelled opportunities to display his Father's great love and power. And actually, in the grander scheme of things, interruptions never really slowed Jesus down, did they? They never really got him to abort his purpose. They never slowed him down. For the past 2 weeks, we've read about encounters that could have and should have slowed him down or got him off focus, but it didn't. And the reason why is because Jesus was the ultimate servant. Everybody say that word with me. Servant. He was the ultimate servant. Jesus was our example of what a servant's heart is supposed to look like. So tonight, we're going to talk about being a servant, and we'll ask a very important question. The question we're going to ask tonight is, are we giving God permission to interrupt us? Are we giving God permission to interrupt our busy lives? God often tests our hearts by asking us to serve in ways that we're not comfortable. That's how you know God's working on you. If he asks you to do something that you're not comfortable doing, you know that God's working on you. But make no mistake about it. Anybody can be a servant at any time. All it requires is character. And here's a bold statement. I'm going to make a statement that's bold. It is possible to serve in your church for a lifetime without ever being a servant. Again, it is possible for you to serve in your church for a lifetime and never be a servant. You have to have a servant's heart. How can you tell? Anybody wondered about that? How can you tell if you have the heart of a servant? Jesus said in Matthew that you can identify them by what they do. He didn't say you can identify them by what they say. He said you can identify them by what they do. A servant makes him or herself available to serve. And not only when it's convenient for them. Real servants do what's needed, even when it's not convenient. Even if they have to go out of their way to do it. Are you available to God at any time? Do you allow him access to your plans and give him permission to mess those plans up if he wants to without being resentful? Being a servant means giving up the right to control your schedule and allowing God to interrupt you whenever he needs you. So, does God have access to you? How many here think that interruptions are frustrating? They are, don't lie. Come on. Interruptions are very frustrating. But if we can remind ourselves every day when we wake up that we are servants of God, interruptions may not frustrate us as much because our agenda will be open to whatever God wants to do with us that day. Servants see interruptions as divine appointments for ministry and are happy for the opportunity to practice serving. And don't wait or pass up the opportunity. Great opportunities never last long. I don't know if you noticed that. Great opportunities never last long. You gotta have to seize the moment. You may only get one opportunity to serve a particular person in a certain way. Proverbs 3 verse 28 says this: never tell your neighbor to wait until tomorrow if you can help them now. Never tell your neighbor to wait until tomorrow if you can help them now. One of my favorite quotes of all time that describes the heart of a servant is from our very own John Wesley. And I'm going to read it here. We're going to read it together. It simply says, do all the good you can by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as ever you can. That's what I'm saying. That's so good. Is that there, Gibby? Let's say that together. Do all the good you can by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as ever you can. That is greatness. That right there is servanthood. That is the heart of a servant, constantly seeking ways to help somebody, ways to help others. And we'll keep it short. One last thing. The size of the task that God puts in front of you is absolutely and completely irrelevant. The only issue is, does it need to be done? You will never arrive at the state in life where you are too important to help out with the menial or small or unimportant tasks. Doing the small things is absolutely essential in developing character. Did y'all understand that? Doing small things for God is essential to develop your character as a Christian person. Jesus, after all, specialized in menial tasks that everyone else tried to avoid. Washing feet, helping children, fixing breakfast, serving and touching sick people. Nothing was beneath him. Nothing. Because he came to serve. There will always be more people willing to do great things for God than there are people willing to do the little things. But the little things are so important, and they develop character. You would develop a servant's heart by doing anything that's needed. And always remember, you don't serve to be seen serving. It's not about you. You don't serve others so that you can be seen doing something for somebody. Most people, actually, if you know somebody who's really got a servant's heart, they're behind the scenes. They don't even want to be known. They don't want nobody to shine a spotlight on them. They're the most humble people that you'll ever meet. The Apostle Paul said in Galatians 1:10, obviously, I'm not trying to win the approval of people, but of God. If pleasing people were my goal, I would not be a servant of Christ. So the question, again, is, are you giving God permission to interrupt you? Are you giving God permission to interrupt you? And after this weekend, I started thinking about some things. I don't know everything that you guys go through. I don't. You don't tell me. If you told me, we'd be on the same page, I'd know. But God knows what you're going through. Are you giving him permission to interrupt you, to help work on you? Please do not think that you can fix everything on your own. You can't, man. I've been there. You can't. Sometimes I still feel broken. I lost a leg the other day. You know what I mean? I just feel broken. You cannot fix yourself. But you have to give God permission. God knows what your needs are. He knows what you've been through, what you're going through. But you got to give him permission. You almost have to invite him in there with like some silly putty to fix stuff. Have you ever thrown mud up against a wall? Okay, what happens?
Splat.
It splats. No, it just sticks there. That's it. It just sticks there. Now, Jesus is referred to in the Bible as living water. What happens when you throw water on a wall? It goes everywhere, man. It hits the cracks. It hits the crevices that nothing else can get into. Nothing else can go there except water. Nothing else can get to the parts of your life that need fixing except living water. Except Jesus, that's it. You have got to let him interrupt you. You have to let him interrupt your prayer life so that you're begging him to help you. You have to let him interrupt your schedule so that everything isn't about you. You have to let him interrupt your time on your phone. Put it down every once in a while and get with him. Allow him to penetrate your heart, your every being. And he just kind of cleanses everything. Is it fixed like that? No. Heck no. But if you're standing there with your walls up, saying, God, you know what? I'm ashamed of like who I am, what I'm doing. People don't know. Dude, you gotta let him fix that stuff. Does everybody understand that? My heart breaks sometimes for you guys because I know the struggle of it. I know the struggle of something hanging over you for years and years. And man, you cannot fix that on your own. Okay? I'm here for you. My wife is here for you. You guys are here for you. And your parents are here for you. I would interrupt you. Okay? Man, nobody loves you more than we do. We love you. Will you please tonight, when you come to this prayer, allow God to interrupt you for a few minutes? If you have something on your heart that you need to get off, man, leave it right here. Just leave it. Don't pick it up. Okay? Don't pick it up. Leave it here and continue. Forget about it. Try to fix what's going on. Let God penetrate you. Okay? If you need prayer for something, please come get me. Just come find me. I will pray with you, man. I will lay hands on you and I will pray for you. And then you can pray for me. I struggle too. We're living in an imperfect world. Some of us are broken. We all need help. If you need to rededicate your life, let's do that like in the next few moments. If you've never accepted Christ as your Savior and you want to do that tonight, let's not wait till the end. Let's do that during the next few songs. If you need one of those decisions or just want to lay hands, if you just want prayer, you come during the next song and allow me to do that for you. Okay? Let's stand. Gracious God.